What's up, y'all? It's Dr. David Roney. Quick video tonight because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. So today is day 22 or day 23? Maybe 22. I can't remember. No, 23. Day 23 of 31 of videos in May. One video a day talking about financial topics because, I'm making a concerted effort to share more content and be purposeful about what I'm doing, and I'm rocking it, man. I got a few days to go. Stay with me, and if we hit 500 views in the month of May, I'll hire somebody to sort of manage this, what I'm doing, right? Because right now it's all unedited. It's just me talking and rambling, right? And so eventually you guys want to see something more cleaned up, but it is what it is. You get me for now. So, in 2016, we found out we were pregnant, and we were having a baby. And I broke down crying, man, because I had no idea how I was going to do that on a resident salary. And then some adversity hit, and I needed to transfer programs, and we were in a terrible renting situation, and we had to move to a new house, but I didn't have any money, right? I had money in my investment accounts that I wasn't really contributing to. So I took a risk. I had an option for a 0% or zero down, low interest mortgage, and I bought a house. It was an idiot move at the time. Not idiot from a financial standpoint. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was an idiot from a financial standpoint, right? Like, you really don't want to be in that situation because you basically end up being house poor, walking into it. But it was the right thing for my family to do, right? So my entrance into buying a home was that, right? It's was born out of crisis because we didn't have enough money to move, but it was my only chess move I had left. And so with that, you just sort of learn some things. And along the way, I had no idea how the mortgage process worked. The thing about obtaining mortgages as an African American, for a long time, it was difficult for African Americans to obtain a mortgage. And having that ability and walking through that process can be very stressful, right? Understanding the pre-approval process, right? Pre-approval is a way for you to really get a leg up, not in this environment, but get a leg up on your competition, because you are competing for these homes, right? You put down, I remember we were losing houses back in 2017 to people because they were putting in all cash offers. And I'm just sitting there these weren't nowadays, I'm man, these were $300,000 houses. And I don't know, man, who the hell spending $300,000? I'll never do that, right? Never say never, but whatever. And people would just we would lose out. And so having that pre-approval in hand just lets people know hey, the mortgage bank or the bank you're going through, they've looked at all your stuff, and they said, we provisionally will approve of you up to X, Y, and Z amount, right? And so that's one of the things. But the mortgage process, at least back then, was agonizing, where it was every step of the way. It feels for someone who's very private, it was a very vulnerable type thing, right? You had literally all your flaws financially are all on display. And so then you got to explain all your debt. You got to explain this. You explain where your payments are going from. And just knowing that up front is your personal balance sheet needs to be prepared. And at that time, my personal balance sheet was not prepared. The second time around I came to buy a home was essentially 4 years later, but I had been preparing for that a year in advance. So my balance sheet was very good. And just knowing the process, knowing hey, you could put an offer in on the home as much as you want, but if it doesn't appraise for that, the bank ain't taking that risk. You need to either eat that cost or walk away. So there's a fine line. You need to be able to put in an offer on a home that is both hopefully either at or below, hopefully below the appraisal value, so that the bank feels comfortable taking that risk and issuing a mortgage. And then the other things like that you should really know is don't go buy anything major. Like, you don't want any real fluctuations in your bank account, right? They need to be able to predict, because you're going to basically give them like a couple months of you're going to give them your tax returns, you're going to give them your checking statements, your saving statements. They want to see your investment accounts, they want to see your retirement, all that stuff you have to give them, right? Because they need to see where all the cash is going and what's your like debt to income ratio. You should hopefully get it below 30%, ideally. There's some mortgages that can go up, and depending on the type of mortgage, is you got to understand like what they're looking for. And that's very important. The other thing is the appraisal process as an African American, when you're selling a home, can be very, if you're on the selling side, can be very disheartening, right? Like, I remember in that same home I had bought in 2017, I tried to sell in 2019, and we just had a flat out like, it was a discriminatory appraisal, right? And we had to go through the process, and that like put us behind the eight ball because we were moving, and so just like know like the appraisal process for me was a lot of anxiety. And then the other thing, little pitfall that you got to know is like your home inspection can make or break you, right? Like when you're going to go buy a home, make sure you go there, right? Like turn on all the light switches. Walk barefoot. If there's hardwood floors, walk barefoot, right? Because walking barefoot, like you should be able to feel like if there's waves in the floor, because that indicates like it was either installed wrong or there's moisture. And these are things you got to know. Flush all the toilets, right? Make sure all the light circuits work. Take a phone charger and plug it into outlets to make sure that the circuit works. These are little things like check if it's coming with a refrigerator, check that the ice cube maker works, check that the refrigerator filter isn't like beyond relief, like check that the stove works, like jiggle the knobs to make sure they're like, do the little things. It seems very stupid, but like these are things that will annoy you once you buy a house. And then once you buy the house, like, and you close, take a deep breath, man, because like it's a hurdle you got over, but you got a lot more expenses coming up. There's always something that usually breaks. There's always something you can, so you need to have some money available. For me, in 2017, the first thing that went was the freaking air conditioning, right? And I had a bad sort of home warranty where I had to pay up front and they reimbursed me. And I like had barely any money, and that was a lot of money to spend, but I had to do it. And this is why I said, like, you don't want to be house poor going into these things. But like getting a home should be something that we all attain for. Like if you're living in a certain part of the country, like if you're in New York and it's super expensive, that's not something you want to do, right? In that situation. Like I know I don't want to spend 1.4 million for a 2-bedroom house or 2-bedroom apartment, like or like when I can go live somewhere else and have land and all that stuff. So if home ownership is something you want to do, just make sure you go about it correctly and know the pitfalls. Like go read the FHA website, know what your options are for loans. If you're a veteran, you can get a VA loan, know how to get your certificate of entitlement. If you're using a FHA loan and you're doing a 3% down, know that you're going to have to pay PMI. Know how to get the PMI like taken off. Like know what the lender's requirements are. Ask your mortgage processor, your mortgage loan originator, like, hey, what do I need to know? Like, what are you looking for, so that you can prepare. Ideally, start to prepare 6 to 9 months in advance before you're ready to get the loan, so that you don't have any like surprises. Know how much money you need is like reserve, and like have them walk through a scenario with you. But just take the opportunity. Don't do like I did and make the same pitfalls and do this at the last second, right? That's not the way you want to do things. You want to go into these big purchases. And the other thing, don't follow my lead, is don't make a bunch of major life events all occur at once. And for me, it was like 5 life events all at once, and it was a lot. And so I'll never do that again. But that's something financially that can literally ruin you if one thing goes wrong. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm about to go to sleep. It's Dr. David Roning's day 23 of 31 of straight videos in May. I hope everybody's doing well. Please continue to follow me on Twitter at FISURGI. That's Phi Surgery. Don't ask why. And thanks for all your love and support. Peace.